I would like to describe to you and explain my thoughts on the latest indictment involving former Abercrombie Fitch CEO Mike Jeffries, who has been arrested for sex trafficking and interstate prostitution, and how this, along with the Diddy cases, are causing a conflation, a concatenation of guilt and focus and the like. Now, Mr. Jeffries, who is 80 years old, and his British partner, 61-year-old Matthew Smith, were arrested in West Palm Beach, Florida on Thursday. According to authorities, a third man, a Jim Jacobson, was arrested in the same case in Wisconsin. Now, the three men are accused of sexually exploiting and abusing young men at parties they were hosting in the U.S. and around the world. Now, prosecutors in the Eastern District of New York, not the Southern District, but Eastern, Brooklyn, and said in January that they had launched a criminal probe after several men publicly claimed and alleged that they were abused by Mr. Jeffries and his partner. Now, the question I have is, were any of these people minors? If they were minors, they cannot consent. Obviously, that is per se criminal. And if they weren't minors, could they have ever left? We'll get to that in a moment. And remember, of course, everybody is presumed innocent. These are mere allegations. Now, Mr. Jeffries and his longtime boyfriend were last year accused in a BBC documentary of engaging in sex trafficking between 2009 and 2015. They have, of course, through their lawyers and legal counsel, denied the allegations. Now, that's a while back ago. The latest was 9 years ago. Now, I'm not in any way calling that into account, but it makes me wonder, say, okay, because I'm thinking, as a defense lawyer, I'm thinking, what are we waiting for? Do cases get better with age or worse with age? Do memories get better or worse? Does evidence get better or worse? Abercrombie Fitch, Mr. Jeffries, CEO, has been arrested for sex trafficking, again, in interstate prostitution. You don't really hear that anymore. Prostitution, especially in this world now where everybody wants to be a sex worker, where being a sex worker is okay. Everybody wants to be a sex worker. Isn't that what the wokey left want us to do, is to be sex workers? Aren't these folks sex workers, or are they involuntary sex workers? Is that what you mean by the trafficking? Anyway, Mr. Jeffries and his partner were accused of recruiting men for sex parties and coercing them into a series of sexual acts that they were not comfortable with. Coercing them? I'm sorry. Again, these are. I don't know the evidence. I've never talked to a witness. Coerce somebody? Not threaten, but coerce, cajole, wheedle, persuade. What does that mean? What does that mean? Now, accusers, there were two accusers. I'm not going to mention their names, but they would claim that they were recruited for modeling opportunities through a middleman, Jacobson, but found themselves sexually exploited. Now, this, as you know, is a big deal. This happens quite often in the music business, acting business, show business, modeling business. It's probably been done forever, since the days of all of those. Remember the supermodels and all of those folks? Oh, up to and including that guy that they iced. Remember him? The guy that they got in the, I'm not going to mention his name, but you know who I'm talking about. The guy they got in the holding cell. He got some of them to be masseuses and the like. Now, a lawyer for Mr. Jeffries said, quote, and this is very good, "We will respond in detail to the allegations after the indictment is unsealed and when appropriate, but plan to do so in the courthouse, not the media." It's very, very smart. If he could stick to that, that's fine. Unlike Diddy's lawyers, who was suggesting that he was buying he was buying lubricant by the case at Costco. But I digress. The BBC said it has corroborated the accounts with emails and flight tickets and various evidence, travel itineraries and the like, as well as other members and witnesses of the household staff who can corroborate and verify that of the claims made. The men say they were recruited by a middleman identified as James Jacobson, who denies any wrongdoing. What do you mean recruited? One gentleman, I'm not going to mention his name, then 23 years old, an adult, told the BBC he was introduced to this fellow by an agent who described himself as the gatekeeper, if you will, to the owners of Abercrombie and Fitch. Mr. Jacobson, described by one man as having a snakeskin patch nose. I don't know what that means. Sounds like rhinophyma, perhaps, maybe acne, rosacea. In any event, is alleged to have acted as a middleman, finding men for sex events and propositioning them for oral sex in twisted auditions. Now, again, I got to hear a hell of a lot more than that before I'm thinking there's anything illegal going on here. Illegal. Coerced, cajoled, fooled, persuaded, tricked, duped, 23-year-old? How about that? In October, one of the accusers launched a lawsuit against these individuals for the various misdeeds. One of these gentlemen filed a suit in the U.S. District Court of Southern District of New York, alleging that Mr. Jeffries had modeling scouts scouring the internet and elsewhere to identify attractive young men seeking to be the next face of Abercrombie. Abercrombie, this has been going on for a long time. And by the way, a lot of these people who look for kids do the same thing where they scour various faces for targets. Often these models became sex trafficking victims. Again, I want to know, tell me again, force, coercion, force, fraud, how are they trafficked? I'm sure the evidence will be adduced at trial. So these models were sent to New York and abroad, abused, all under the apparent guise that they were being recruited to become, the next model. One former model turned life coach and activist said he felt pressured into attending an event in the Hamptons in 2011. He felt pressured. Okay. He describes what went on inside this sex party. The suit alleges that Jeffries was so important to the profitability of the brand that he was given complete autonomy to perform his role as CEO however he saw fit, including through the use of blatant international sex trafficking and abuse of prospective Abercrombie models. Again, I want to find out what abuse means. What does abuse mean in sex trafficking? Attorneys for the victims filed a class action lawsuit on Tuesday that today's arrests are monumental for the aspiring male models who were victimized. I in no way, and let me just say something right now, I in no way want to belittle, diminish, reduce the importance and the criticality of anybody who takes advantage of anybody else for any particular reason, whether it's dangling the chance of fame and stardom in front of them, duping, being duplicitous and the like, fraudulent. But I must tell you, and I must say this to you, that I'm extremely hesitant, extremely incredulous, extremely suspicious when I hear, especially a lot of times in the cases of Diddy, where women, remember, not kids, remember kids? Kids or people who were knocked out or people who were incapacitated, different story. But anybody, many of them went back again, like the Harvey Weinstein case. Please do not confuse sexual misdeeds, sex trafficking, human trafficking, forced fraud or coercion, children, young people, people who were brought kidnapped, dragooned from other countries, their passports, their information taken, threatened, forced to have debt slavery. People who are into some kind of a modern day slavery, either work or sexual. Don't confuse them with people who find themselves in the dark, dirty, dank, and disgusting world of entertainment, music, Broadway. You'll never hear about that. Think about that. When people could theoretically walk away. Again, we must remain. Maybe there's some kind of brainwashing. I don't know. But when people can walk away, when people are adults, and what I'm saying may not apply here, but if that were to happen, where they were adults and they were able to walk away, what that spells is acquittal. And if that is the case, it should be segregated from cases involving children and women and people who were so victimized, so violated that they never come out of it again. People beaten, people drugged, people housed, people kept in, actual false imprisonment, kidnapped. Again, that could very well be the case here. But if it's not, and this is somebody who fell prey to the promise and the luster of stardom, that, my friend, is a different story. Please subscribe to this channel. Please like this video. And more importantly, put your thoughts in comments. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? Who is really at fault? Do you buy these accusations? And in any event, dear friend, I ask you to comment as you see fit.